Yes, everybody was. Oh, a bit yellow there. Let me talk that. Nope, still a bit yellow. It's a bit better. Russell Western Network. Hope you're safe and well. Happy Sunday. Doing a bit of Sunday today. So I thought yesterday was a bit of a apologies on based on from the West Ham Network's lack of coverage yesterday. Just one of those days where it's like a perfect storm, and everything you try and do, myself and Anton particularly, just didn't work. Just couldn't work. We're both obviously, and Holly as well. Three of us, just perfect storm, and none of us could do any coverage really. But so we'll come on and have a little chat, and it's have your say. If you want to come on and have a chat, particularly after the debacle that was yesterday. There's the link in the chat. Feel free to join us live on the stream. There's loads of comments, mainly from Randy. So I'm going to try and go through. There's still a lot more there as well. So we're going to try and go through all of them at the moment. Let's just try and go through them. Nick, where is Gillan Balagay? No idea. Randy, hi Russ, how you doing? Yes, Balagay's on certainly tell us is the best thing since sliced bread. I don't hear him now. On a serious note, Sullivan's left us in a no-win situation. If he sacks him, it'll be an admission of guilt from him appointing Loppy, or he sticks with him too long and gets even more toxic. And I think also the issue as well is if it comes to a point that he gets rid of him later down the line, the assumption is that's because we're in deep trouble, and then we'll end up getting not a David Moyes character, but then we'd get a firefighter in rather than a progressive manager, and then it's sort of a cycle again. In all reality, I think it's only fair that something that gets the opportunity to choose. Well, which is things is the owner around here, so trouble. So yeah, and it's it inevitably he is, the largest shareholder. So unless someone comes in and offers them the money to buy the shares out, then there's nothing we can really do, really, to be honest. And that will always be the case. Even with all clubs, it's the shareholders and the board are the ones who inevitably make the decision on who is the head coach. All the fans asked for was some Moyes to be replaced with someone young and exciting that plays exciting football, which was the bare minimum that could take us forward, not another variation of Moyes who is worse. Apparently we have two sides. The ex said that Everton's a must-win, and Steinberg states Everton is not a must-win. We're getting mixed messages again. Only to you, Andy. I wouldn't listen to anything anyone says, in all honesty. To be perfectly fair. News, and I've said this before, in terms of ITKs and things like that, they only get the news that's given to them. And so you can choose to take that. And that could be two different sources who are giving those two different versions out. So, you're all human beings. You've all got a brain. You've all got capacity to make decisions yourself, and so you don't take everything that's written on sites as gospel. We report rumors, and that's what we call them, rumors. And we very clearly say these are rumors. This is what's been announced, reported in the news. Today there was a report, Igor Jesus, the Brazilian striker. We've been linked with. We'll talk about that tomorrow, but that to me is very much the way I look at it all. God, I think someone should never be allowed to be involved. Come on, your irons. God save this team. God, so many. I've never seen anything like this in my entire life. Your entire life, I've definitely seen a lot worse. And actually, I think the voice of reason, Nigel Calm, was saying, in terms of our worst starts the season, Premier League season, this doesn't even hit the top 10. Point for point, we're pretty much the same as where we were last year. But that's, I think, the issue. I think it's not necessarily, I think fans expected to see more. And I get that totally. And also I get the fact is that last season we didn't have the squad rebuild that we've had this season. So for me, he's come into a job and he's had a situation where, he's been given a brand new team, really. Brand new back four, or three quarters of a brand new back four. New midfield, not necessarily up front or anything, but it does it does take time, and I think as I said, I always saw this season as a band-aid. We had to rip the band-aid off this in the summer, and the squad needed major surgery, and he would have been aware of that situation as well. So I'd like. I said, for me, it's always a case of I want to see some progression, and I just haven't seen it in the 10 days, in 10 games, and that's what it's been. I'm not counting the cup games, but 10 Premier League games so far. Was it 11 points on the board, and I haven't seen anything which is any different really than what we saw last year. Reality, points wise, and from a progression of playing stance, I still don't see how it. I don't know what Lopetegui ball is. Is it first half we keep it really tight, and second half we throw the baby out with the bathwater? I don't know. I don't get it. And unfortunately, we never will know. I don't think, because he keeps his cards so close to his chest. Sad part is if he does succeed, he gets a sack, and everyone was a part to play. Ultimately, we will see. So I play it again, possibly. But I mean, even United, they haven't given him a very long-term deal. In terms of Amorim, so there's still some reluctance there. If you read Amorim's, his interview, he basically said that no other that he always wanted to go to Man United. As I said, I honestly don't believe that our pursuit of Amorim was as close as we thought it was. I don't think he had any intention of coming to West Ham. I think clearly at the time there was a Liverpool job, there was a United job, there was the Chelsea job. By the sounds of it, Chelsea tried to get him and paid, and were offering him a lot of money, and he didn't go to them. That's what he was saying in his interview. He didn't say the club, but it pretty much was Chelsea. And as I said, I truly believe he used us to flash his knickers at the other clubs. I don't think we were that close. But as fans, we cling to that, and that's the issue. We've got to park that now. It's the same thing with Duran. We could, you could talk about the time when we should have signed Didier Drogba, but we signed Youssef Sofian, or we could have signed Petr Cech, but we signed Raymond van der Hout. There's a talking about that now. We're in a situation now where we go into a game next week, and I think it is a must-win. I think, particularly international break, and particularly with the first one being sacked as well, in terms of Ten Hag, that does put pressure on all the other managers who aren't performing. We've got to get him out. We'll get relegated with him. I don't think we'll be relegated, to be honest. And no lie, I had plans to go over and watch. Now, why would I spend that money? I'm not a tourist. I only come to West Ham and dine out. The Mrs. Sullivan won't like that. The most frustrating part is, as long as we have one of three options, we are promised, whether it's play the youth, play the progressive, or at least don't. It's bad. I don't think it's the case. The youth, I think anyone saw the game on Friday. They didn't play very well. The other two ones aren't playing very well at the moment. And obviously a number of them, there's six of those first team under 21 players are out on loan at the moment. Incidentally, Tim Steidham was at the game, was on Friday. He was there watching, which was good to see. He was next to me, or next bank to me, so I saw him. So that was encouraging to see. I don't think anyone really out of that side came out that game with any real sort of pedigree, any credit rather. I think Finn Herrick, the goalkeeper, played well, but that was really it. Lewis had not a great game. Lewis Orford didn't have a good game. Ollie was on the bench, came on at sort of 25 minutes to go. Ryan Bartram had a good game, an okay game, but it wasn't a really fantastic game for the under 21s either. So for me, I think there's probably one or two players who are probably on the cusp of being ready, but they're out on loan, and actually that's the best place for them at the moment in my eyes. There's loads of comments. Sorry, Ray, I'm going to go through. I appreciate you and HPN NY Hammer going through. But yeah, having a good old discussion. Ball press might have been great at times, but you got to at least look. He's contributed somehow. He's got a yellow card that is. The issue is, Soler as well. Case in point, you buy a player who hasn't really played much at all last season for PSG, and we assume he's going to come on and hit the ground running. Ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. And that's the issue with buying players late. And we've always said we wanted to buy players early, and unfortunately we didn't. And now we're in a situation where we're not. We've seen for a lot of these players. I mean, look at Falkirk. As soon as when he's back, he's going to need 3 or 4 weeks to get up to speed. Which is why I think when we sort of bemuse ourselves at playing a premium for Premier League players. Actually, to be honest, the 2 best players I think of all the ones we bought in is Kilman and Wan-Bissaka at the moment in terms of consistency. Todibo hasn't played much enough to sort of. Well, he looks like a fucking good player. He hasn't played enough to say he's. Max Kilman's played every minute so far of every game, and I think he's a very solid player. Wan-Bissaka's playing awkward because of the formation. Again, I mean, playing a back 3 with wing backs yesterday, and didn't really understand that. I'm all for trying things. I'm all for experimenting, but that's what pre-season's for. That's what friendly matches are for. Not, and I wonder if that change was a last minute change because of Souček's illness, because it seemed a bit random, and you think, I mean, I honestly thought that Souček definitely would have got some minutes yesterday. And that's sort of the warhorse I think he needs. I mean, the team doesn't seem to have any leadership, in my eyes. The team doesn't have, it doesn't seem, like I was going to do a jokey thing with One Direction, call it No Direction, but obviously Liam Payne is a good idea. But it just doesn't seem to have any cohesion. And no patterns of play. I mean, we played all right for the first half hour, but again, we played all right. It's been meh. The first sort of 10 games of this season haven't really got me excited. And got me excited for the Everton game. It's going to be 2 relatively boring teams playing each other. We might grind out a 1-0 win, but that to me isn't enough. It's enough for now because points on the board and wins do drive confidence. But I haven't seen any passage of play from anyone. So, it is for me, it's obviously the buck stops with the head coach, but the players as well. I mean, they look a shadow of themselves. Maybe it's frustration. We're almost in the bottom in terms of disciplinary record. I think we're 2nd from bottom or 3rd from bottom. Southampton are worse, and I think it's Chelsea than us in terms of disciplinary points this year. That's, you can't have a side where we've had 3 sendings off, 2 from the same bloody player in it. And I mean, yes, they epitomised it. Going in 1-0 with 11 men, and to be honest, I think that was he had 1 or 2 shots in their first half, Forest, but with 11 men, he would have changed it around a bit as always, moved a few pieces, taken a few off at half time, and we could have probably got something out of the game. I would envisage, but going in with 10 men, no chance. Not with Forest as well. Good crowd. They're excited. I think it's the first back 3 wins in a row for 25 years in the top flight, something ridiculous like that. It seems, the way looking at it from an outside perspective, it seems he's trying all these things, which is great. I like, I'm happy for him to try new things. If something's not working, change it. But it seems we set it up broken and then change it at half time already. Or, yesterday playing 3 at the back. I just think, and then we look toothless up front. You know what I mean? Bowen is not a striker. He's a very good right winger, but he's not a striker. And anyone who's seen it to put him up front, case in point, he's not strong enough. He doesn't offer anything different physically. You look at someone like Chris Woods, and he had fast runners either side of him, and he's a hell of a player. And that's what we can easily have. We've got fast players. We have a central focal point. You can play fast players either side, pinging crosses in. It's not rocket science. It really isn't rocket science. Right, I'm going to go down a few because there's loads of people commenting. Apparently, the Somerville deal was done last year. No plan, no direction, no leadership, and worst of all, no desire to change it. I think there's desire to on the pitch. There's desire because he changed it quite regularly. I think he's when he only play. I think he's used the most amount of subs in the Premier League, I believe. But it just and it's situations like this, and I keep saying it. Well, I think we missed Declan Rice. in these types of situations. Not necessarily even from a playing perspective, well, actually from a midfield perspective, but just that sort of central. And again, no slight on Bowen, but he's not. But if the team are playing well, and it's an established team, and he comes in, he's captain, and great, but the team aren't playing well. They're not playing, and I agree with Graham. There doesn't seem to be a direction. There's a continuity. I don't think there's any leadership. And considering, we've got, he was ill yesterday, but Thomas Souček's a Czech Republic captain. We've got, someone like Max Kilman, strong player. I'd like to see him doing a bit more. We had Lucas Fabianski, experienced, goalkeeper. Wan-Bissaka's very experienced for somebody on a relatively young age. Guerrero Rodriguez has won the World Cup, and we've got the Mexican captain for what it's worth when he's not getting sent off. And there's bodies around that. I mean, someone like Cresswell, this is time for him to step up. On an off-field capacity. I don't know if he does. That's the thing. Again, we only see footballers in a microcosm of 90 minutes. We don't know what's going on in the on the training ground. And I know we joke about the for sure counter for his press conferences, but if he's trying to get points across, how much I wonder how easy they are to get across when you're in the heat of the battle, and that must be a worry. If he's trying to get points across and maybe they're not being communicated correctly or people aren't understanding the communications. Again, I'm just literally throwing ideas up in the air to see what people think. Howard, good afternoon to you. We are total shambles. Getting very peed off, long journey, expensive travel, food and drink to watch. We're not sure I'll pay for another year of this, usually West Ham dramas and poor performances. I mean, that's the thing. Apparently, someone on Twitter was saying that the players, only a handful of players went over and thanked the fans. That's not on. Win, lose, or draw. If you've lost, you've got to, take your bollocks and go over there and say thank you for at least for turning up and apologise. If he was the first thing Lopetegui said was sorry to the fans. I don't know if he went over to the fans afterwards, but he should have done because it's Nottingham Forest and it's a journey and it's a Saturday and people pay their hard-earned money to go over and see home and away, so yeah. If people were honest, they didn't expect to get anything. Yeah, Forest are playing really well at the moment. Really, really well at the moment. So, and I think we made it. I think someone said on Twitter, the last couple of years, the David Moyes West Ham has been one of the hardest sides to play this. The City Ground this year has been one of the easiest. And we did look really easy. Sullivan will wait until we drop into bottom three to get him sacking. Yeah, probably. How many games will JLo until we think he will have to go? No idea. At least Spurs are 1-0 down. Russ got West Ham got hammered yesterday in the peanut and Fred. What? I don't understand that. Sorry. He's going to wait until we are rock bottom for acting. Probably. In the day, we spoke about this on Friday. For me, you've got a situation where you've got where the club are all. I think it is 11th. They budget for every year. Every year they budget for about 11th, and as I said, for probably 12, 13, 14 sides maybe in the Premier League, objective number one is to get to 40 points. And that's always the case. And then the quicker you get to 40 points, then we'll see. As I said, we're point for point the same way we were last year, but I think we all expected a lot more. And we've seen this before. When it comes to, there is slight, for me, a lot of Pellegrini vibes about what's happening at the moment. So just a bit fed up. No, Randy, that's the idea today, mate. That's the idea is to make it a cathartic experience and just try and keep it going. Hey Russ, what a hard watch it was. Certainly was. Awful game. Russ, do not tell me you're happily backing the manager still has no identity. All I've said is I totally agree. I haven't seen anything which can identify what this era of West Ham's going to look like. I don't understand it, and I haven't made excuses. But I don't make excuses. I just, for me, try and have a balanced opinion. Because my opinion differs from you, Nutty. I don't think that's a bad thing. We've all got different opinions. The trouble is, the person who makes the decisions is none of us. That's the issue. Yesterday was one of the hardest watches. Reminds me of the terrible loss. Well, that was only 2 years ago, Andrew. So I've seen a lot worse. I'll be honest. I have seen a lot worse, but it wasn't good. Surely it's time to give those young guns a go. Well, Earthy and Potts we won't be able to because I don't think there's no full recall options. I don't believe he's now at 10 games. My mind have been made up. Fair enough. It's going to get worse. These guys are professionals, really, indeed, and the whole side's professional. Floppy's too stubborn, won't change the way he plays, and he will set up the same next week. Yeah, quite possibly. Although you say we won't have obviously Alvarez. Though Souček will probably come in for Alvarez, I'd imagine, and obviously no Kudus. And then tomorrow we find out how many games he is. Going to be additional games he's banned for, which I think we need his surgery. Didn't expect us to have our bollocks removed. Russ, good afternoon. I never wanted him. I made my mind about him. It's Chelsea's end game. I said he got worse. He lost players. My opinion, I can see it's in the bottom three. There's Colin. Don't need to put it all in caps, my friend. This season isn't a band-aid. It's a broken leg. No, Damian, you're wrong. Paqueta is available. He's got 5 yellow cards, but 4 of them are in the Premier League. So he's on 4 yellow cards. Whoever the coach is, they cannot show commitment after such a rebuild. Why does Lopetegui keep changing format? I don't know. I think he's trying to find something. I think it's just to see if it works. Awful yesterday. Sending off didn't help, but he wasn't going to win the game. Teams are on the knees. It seems we're just bereft of anything really. There's no fight. Even a West Ham side, if we were losing or whatever, maybe not in recent years, but before then, you still think they'd offer something. Yeah. What we got? Let's go for a few more, and we've got Damian on the line to come in. Don't think Loppy has had a game plan. Maybe that goes along. Neither Amarin or the Villa boy are a loss to us. Wait and see. What about getting Ten Hag in? I wouldn't be surprised. Might hold the largest, but the other shares can get to it. They could indeed, but they won't. I don't see Loppy turning it around. The fact he's about the 4th time he's apologised to fans is not working out. I'll go for Ruud van Nistelrooy. Why are you still naming Brazilians that will never play for us? Ian, please, right? Luis Guilherme is one for the future. It really frustrates me, right? It's been quite clearly and spoken about as one of the future. He only played like 10 games or something like for Brazil, for Palmeiras. He's coming in as next year and the year after. People go, why are you spending it? Well, because that's what clubs do now. The likes of Brighton, big boy clubs, they buy players in now who probably haven't any intention to play them until a good 18 months, maybe 2 years down the line. He was available. We got him. So with Luis Guilherme, that was always the case. We're actually getting worse tactically. His game players fall apart. 3 red cards. Paqueta yellow card collected. It's nuts. When will we get? No one will be there. All right, mate. Hope you're safe. Safe and well. Disgusted, clueless. Souček was ill. He was ill. Russ Lopetegui is done. He's been coach since June. He's had enough time. Well, he hasn't really, because officially didn't start till the 1st of what's name, wasn't it? We only won 1 game in 90 minutes in pre-season. That was it. Damien average. Pre-season means nothing. Everyone Grant won all his games, as you well know. Right, let's bring Damian in, and then let's put my headphones on. Let's bring him in if he's still there, and see what he's got to say. Go on, Damian. Let rip.
Hello, Russ. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, mate. Go on, let rip.
Right. Lopetegui, right? I've not been sold since pre-season. I've said that numerous amounts of times. I personally feel as if Lopetegui needs to go back to basics. I've said this. There's been a lot of discussion around Amarin recently, right? Because he's just got the Man United job, and everyone's now. We should have been playing five at the back. Earlier in the season, we should be playing Bowen up front. The DNA of this squad is 4-2-3-1. I am telling you, the DNA of this squad is 4-2-3-1. Under Moyes, he built a team, right? And if you think about it, there's only a few players that we signed in the summer. There's more than a few, but there's a few players that Steiden signed in the summer that actually directly impact the 11. So Todibo immediately comes in, right? But he's replacing Zuma, who was done. Kilman, he is an Aguerd replacement. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is an upgrade on Kufal, right? Alvarez was ultimately the Rice replacement. Now, when we signed Kudus, right, everyone on Twitter, when I was on there, was saying, I'm not sure how we should use Kudus because we've got Bowen and his best position is right wing. He's also a close to world-class 10. And now you've got Somerville. To me personally, this squad just screams out to play 4-2-3-1. My thing is, this is what I try to maintain as a fan, right? I have certain points which I refuse to move on from, despite so many narratives going on as we move on. So, honestly, at the beginning of the season, when the window closed, I pumped the brakes. I need to see what's happening. I need to see what's happening now. And some of the comments that are being made, I'll be totally honest with you, Russ, mate, it's unidentifiable. It is. You can't. At first, I was thinking, okay, it's a system with a defensive midfielder with 2 8s. The defensive midfielder is the dictator, so to speak, and manages the pace of play. Then it's a 5 at the back, which looks absolutely appalling. It's just not good enough. Nothing that he has done has showed me any signs, and it chops and changes. Now, I'm off Twitter. I've come off Twitter, but there is one account that I do keep my eye on, and if he watches this, I have to shout him out. West Ham Live, formerly West Ham Online, the Moyes fanboy #1. I keep my eye on his tweets. He said it. I keep my eye on his tweets. He said 2-3 changes every half. Mate, I've coached football teams, and if I find myself making 2-3 changes every half time, it's because I fundamentally got it wrong from minute 0. And this is my thing. This would, if I was to sit down with Lopetegui and advise him on anything to do, go back to the season that we got 5th, right, with Lingard, and replicate that system. We have better players than that now with the profiles that match. So when we had that team, we had Lingard, who was like the little gem in the middle who could do everything. You've now got Kudus. You had two big physical presence in front of the back 4 with Souček marauding forward and Rice as the sitter, right? Alvarez hasn't got the legs that Rice has to maraud forward, but he can sit in front of the back 4 and defend. And you've got completely renovated back 4. Another thing that we used to struggle with in that system is we used to chop and change between Fornals and Benrahma as to who's going to play as the 10 and who's going to play as the left winger. Now, you've got Somerville, who he's basically on the verge of changing his name to left wing. He's already changed his name to 7, for God's sake. It's balanced. My personal thing that I would say to Lopetegui is go back to that season when we got 5th. You have better players than that now. That is the system that worked for us. And we have not made enough signings to move away from that system, in my opinion, because you don't have in that system, there was 2 or 3 weaknesses to make it the kind of, perfect version of that system, right? So you've done a couple of those, but you've not made enough significant signings to change a whole system. I don't think, anyway. Like, I had a debate with someone on Claret and Booze a couple of days ago, and they're promoting 5 at the back. I like the system of 5 at the back if you've got the right profiles, which we don't. So I just think he just needs to go and have a look at what worked for us previously. You've got better players now, and just set us up in a way that we're just not going to get thumped, and we can use our attacking talent, our pace, our efficiency up front in all these players that we've got. You can rely on the likes of Kudus and Bowen to just go and hurt teams on transition. Somerville, go and hurt teams on transition. And you've got you've got a solid back four. Souček and Alvarez sat in front of the back four. That's how I would still be managing this group. I don't think we've brought in enough different profiles to change systems like that. Like, I think good managers are adaptable. I don't think you have this kind of plan of how you play and then everyone else has got to fit it. I think you look at the squad and say, how am I gonna get the best out of that? So I've not been convinced since pre-season, to be totally honest. And I understand that it's not an easy decision to make to sack a manager after 10 games, but the direction he's going in, there is no direction. There is no direction. I feel like he needs to pump the brakes, go and reassess what was good about us, and basically try and replicate it. That's my opinion.
Do you think the reason why he's not doing that is almost to almost stamp his authority? You know, it's almost like, you know, an arrogance to say, I know better. It's just because I totally agree. You know, I think we haven't really moved away in terms of the players we brought in. They're better than the players we had, but very much still in the same position, as you said. You know, Kilman, there's no doubt Kilman and Todibo are much better than Agerd and Zuma. You know, Sufal, you know, Wan-Bissaka is better than Sufal. Simple. So in theory, you've got three of a brand new back four, but that's what it is. It's a back four. Mm-hmm. And do you think? I think it's almost like, for me, it seems almost like an arrogance or a strong-headedness, a misguided strong-headedness by J-Lo to think that, you know, it's his way, and it's almost like implementing this sort of style which works in La Liga but doesn't work in the Premier League, where it's a lot more physical and people aren't given as much time on the ball as sides in La Liga, for example. I just don't get it, because I totally agree with you. You know, I don't think that there was much need. I just think, you know, in terms of the way we just needed a bit more forward momentum with a new manager, a new head coach coming in. You know, we had a decent base. It needed some squad surgery for sure. There's a lot of old players there that he inherited, but still the players he's bringing in, I think, were better than the players that have left. So I don't really get it. I don't really get why. And I think it might be because he's trying to, as you said, trying to implement a system which basically we haven't got the right personnel to do. As you said, Wan-Bissaka, he's a right back. He's not a wing back. But for some reason, he's almost playing as a auxiliary CDM half the game, which narrows the pitch down considerably in terms of what he can do on the right side. I don't know, mate. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's. I've not been impressed. I just don't see. I don't see how he looks at the profile of players that we've got and decides that's the right way to go. But yet if he's hard-headed, then why continually change? It's a new system every week. It's subs at half time every single week. So it's hard-headedness for 45 minutes. Like, I've not been impressed by Lopetegui at all. The thing is with me, right? And I think you'll remember me saying this last season. I never had a massive problem with Moyes as a coach. I actually think Moyes is a really good coach, right? My problem with Moyes is the direction that he was going with in terms of recruitment. So when we got the Rice money, he wanted to buy players who were 29, 30, 31 for some senior figureheads, overpay, and ultimately it's just not It's not nothing that's going to work long term. So I do feel like the structure of technical director and head coach is still the best ideology.
Agreed. Yeah.
I don't feel like Tim had a perfect transfer window, but I do feel like Tim is the type of person to take on board what is being said, what is happening on the pitch, and think, okay, I need to find a way of addressing this. With Lopetegui, it just feels like he's just riding his bike off into the sunset, like kind of skewing to the right, kind of like, I don't know, just going the absolute wrong direction. And you're just kind of thinking to yourself, like, I don't know, this guy, like, someone just needs to stop him and just say, sit him down. It just is not going in the right direction at the moment, Russ. I see signs of it in pre-season. I'll be honest. I see it did not take me long to see what was happening, and he needs to sort it out because the thing is, this is another thing that I can't manage to do at the moment. I can't sit there and criticize players who have been badly organized from very like day one. I'm looking at Facebook comments yesterday. People said when Fabianski come out and spoke, "Where's the captain? Where's the captain?" It's like, I'm not going to turn on Jared Bowen, who scored the match winner of a cup final for us a couple of years ago for the first trophy we had in 40 years, because we've been poorly managed for like 5 months or whatever it is. Like, I refuse to turn on these players. I refuse to.
I don't think it's turning. I think you know, to give Declan Rice credit when he was catching the West Ham, he was front and center every time we played shit. And it should be
step up all the time.
It should be the captain though. It should be the captain though, shouldn't it? The captain is the one who should be. And whether that's a function of not him, that's why I'm not criticizing him, because it could well easily be, you know, the media team or whatever, or maybe he's talking to another news people, because that happens as well. But I want to see a lot more of Jared on camera rather than necessarily on the West Ham website afterwards. Do you know what I mean? I want to see him more front and center.
They all look like they're swerving it a little bit at the moment. Even Fabianski, who I adore, he is someone to me as a pretty modern day fan he's a bit of an icon to me, Fabianski. I'll be honest, and he doesn't. When he was being asked yesterday, asked yesterday by the interviewer, do you want to see is it time for the leaders to step up and be more vocal? He honestly didn't want to say yes, because it's not about, you can't follow misguided leadership. He doesn't want to follow misguided leadership. It's like me supporting someone I think is inherently wrong. And he doesn't want, and people don't want to back Lopetegui. I'm telling you, there is not a player in that camp who wants to back Lopetegui at the moment. With Moyes, even when he was getting it wrong, the likes of Bowen, the likes of Rice, others, whatever, would come out and say, no, I know we're not playing well enough. We need to sort it out. We. Fabianski, he didn't want to kind of totally associate himself with the whole direction at the moment. And I'm sorry, Lopetegui needs to buck up his ideas. If he is too arrogant, then people are going to have to find a way of relieving him from his contract, because it's not working. 3 subs at 45 minutes every single game is an admittance of absolute failure every single game. And listen, I wanted to be kind of PC when I come on here, and I don't like calling for managers' heads live on the internet and stuff like that. But that's my honest feeling about it. Like, I still maintain that this is the strongest group of players we have ever had at West Ham. No doubt about it. I feel like I personally feel like we're a complete centre forward and top quality centre midfielder, and possibly another left back away from being a really, 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 really top side in terms of a 4-2-3-1 system, right? And players are just going to develop bad habits. They're going to become disillusioned, and I don't want to be that guy, so to speak. But I've not been impressed with Lopetegui whatsoever, if I'm totally honest. And another this I will I won't go on too much, Russ, right? But I don't know if you've seen me on social media, but I'm never one to. I feel like the status quo sometimes is when it's going wrong, blame the board, blame the board, blame the board. And I have not blamed the board for a lot of what's gone on. I feel like, right, you're doing well. Here's some money. Go and improve the team. You've showed me good signs of recruitment. Here's some money. Go and improve the team. I don't think they've done a massive amount wrong, but I have to say, the appointment of Lopetegui, I don't think is correct. Let me just say that much. I don't think is correct. And that's pretty much all I've got to say about it, Russ, man. But sorry, man. I just feel like I feel like the team has really. I think like the team has made good strides in the last 5, 6, 7 years, kind of thing. Once we got out of that little relegation battle under Moyes, it's been trajectory is never clear. You know, it's always got its ups and downs. But we're very kind of. I feel like we've solidified ourselves as a team, at least in terms of playing squad. And people will have told you this in the summer. Neutrals would have told you this in the summer. I had Liverpool fans saying, with that squad, you should be looking at about top 6, maybe. And I agree. I do feel like there's a couple of gaps that need to be addressed. But what you're putting out every single week, I feel like they're a team that should be up and amongst it, you know. And I just think that Mr. Lopetegui needs to pull his socks up and realize that if he really, all this kind of stuff that he was saying about he gets the culture of the team, he understands the ambition. We're a big side, we're London based, we get a huge attendance. Listen, pump the brakes, respect what we've done previously. You know what I mean? We're not beholden to Lopetegui ball. Let's get it straight. We're not beholden to Lopetegui ball. Like, pump the brakes, assess what you have, realize what we've done well in the past, and leverage off it. So my concern is that the narratives are just getting so way out of hand. When you hear things like, "Oh, Almarin's gone to Man United," it gives everyone another to beat people with. It's just I don't care about Almarin. That's Man United.
The thing is, even before that, it was John Duran. Yeah. So anything. So it was always, but we didn't get John Duran. Yeah. It's like, as I said, you know, we could have gone back. But we didn't get Didier Drogba. Yeah. We didn't get Didier Drogba. We got Youssef Sofiane. We didn't get Petr Cech. We got Roman van der Hau. It's like, that's happened. You know, we can look back at that in retrospect, but to keep banging people over the head with a stick with it, it's just boring now.
John Duran, I see as one outstanding striker amongst probably 30 outstanding strikers that we could have signed. Almarin at Man United, personally, I don't think it's going to be an easy task for him, because I don't think their squad lends itself very well to a 3-4-3 now. And we'll see. I said this on the Old School Hammers podcast. Shout out Kieran and Budgie. Kieran, my St. Bonds friend. One thing you got to look at with Almarin. Let's see how good they are at selling players, because they've got a few players that are they're on big wages basically, and I don't see people queuing up to pay Anthony £2 million a month. You know what I mean? So so the way I see Almarin, he's 2 games a season at Man United. I'm not kind of spending my whole day thinking, what about if we got Almarin? No, we've got Lopetegui, we've got the squad we've got. What are we going to do about it? You know what I mean? I'm not sitting around crying over spilt milk. Does hurt when Duran bangs one in every week, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It will, and every time Almarin gets a win, people just say, "Oh, should have got him." We were never going to get him. You know, and again, that's, you know, people might say, "Okay, well, you know, as I said, all that fucking stuff was staged. all that flight, if it was that fucking secret meeting, we wouldn't have a bloody Portuguese news crew watching him get onto a plane. Do you know what I mean? It's like a lot of this was staged because he wanted either the Man United job, Liverpool, or Chelsea. Actually, I think Chelsea offered him something ridiculous, but he turned that one down. But that's all he wanted to do. He never was going to come to West Ham. Never.
My biggest concern with Amorim, I said this in the summer, I was one of the very few percent, but it's very difficult to understand how much we've got to rebuild the squad. Basically,
Yeah.
No one's saying we've got this. So my biggest thing with Amorim is we already had a big rebuild on our hands, right?
Yeah.
A big rebuild, and then to go and rebuild that towards a new system, I think would have added additional things that we would have needed, where if we kind of kept it to at least a similar system, we wouldn't necessarily have had to, like, we would, these are things I look at if we would have brought Amorim. We didn't have very many centre backs. Firstly, Zuma pretty much broken down. Ogbonna had done his time. There was rumours of Aguerd wanting to leave from quite a while back. So you've got Matt. We had 4 senior centre backs. The only one we really had was Mavropanos, who was finding his feet. So with a system at 3, with 3 at the back, you're having to buy a lot of new centre backs. It was my concern with that. You also need wing back profiles. We had an issue with centre forward for ages. Kind of, you can't just keep relying on Mikel Antonio. Again, you can't just keep relying on Mikel Antonio and a naturally inverted left winger. That if you want those players to actually impact your side, that is going to be a big spend up. So I think 4-2-3-1 is the identity. I'm not saying that in the future I wouldn't like to see West Ham move to a 5 at the back system, but I just feel like if we were to go that way, there's probably a step that had to take place before that. Get a really good 4-2-3-1 system structured, and then add the relative profiles to kind of adapt it to a 5 at the back system. But I do get why people like 5 at the back. It is a really if it's played correctly, it is a really good system. But and I can see why it's trending in world football at the moment. But I don't think that's what the DNA of our squad lent itself to. So I just want Lopetegui. Look, he's on extremely thin ice, and I'm one of these people. I'm an eternal optimist, and my recommendation to him is just look at the past and look at what we were good at previously. You've got better players than that now. If you look at this squad and compared to the COVID season, you've got better players than that now with similar profiles. Like, why not just try and recreate it? That's what I would do as someone who's followed this team for kind of however long. That's what I would be doing with this squad. Basically, I would be looking at what was good about us then and try and recreate it with a better quality of player. But he come with, I've been following them for 6 months, but I feel like that wasn't a great 6 months to watch us because I don't think we were very good last season.
No.
I feel like I still maintain that. I remember agreeing with Nick from Claret and Booze about this often last season. I feel like 9th was still a little bit kind of flattering, to be honest. I feel there's a lot of games we got absolutely bombarded and the ball just didn't happen to go in the goal, and then we went and scored the other end. But if he's saying he watched us for 6 months, my recommendation would be go back to COVID and have a look at us then, because we're actually a proper team then. Like, we were really good then, and I know people were. I still love that version of us.
Exciting,
I remember we used to not have the ball, and I used to see Declan Rice and Souček just patrolling in front of that back 4, and I could have sat there with my pina colada thinking, you ain't breaking us down. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of time till someone absolutely just obliterates you on the counter attack. I don't know. I feel like that's the model Lopetegui should have a little look at, I reckon. But That's all I've got to say. That's all I've got to say, Russ. Like I
All
don't.
right, Keith.
I get worried when the narratives start going so far ahead, and like it's just kind of like talking around. Like, we could talk about Sullivan, but let's be real. Sullivan has backed the squad with players this summer again. You know what I mean? Like we can talk about Steiden. Steiden had a huge rebuild on his job, and bar Fulkrug really getting injured. To be honest, I'm not a massive Fulkrug fan, but he still has the argument that he got injured. He still added a ton of good quality to this squad. Like if he's taking responsibility ultimately for recruitment, the squad is as good as it's ever been, if not better. And with growing assets, players that other teams admire, he's done all right he's done well with recruitment. But I just feel like there's a clash of philosophies at the moment. I feel like Steiden was very, very keen on the 5 at the back system because he wanted Almer in. I feel like that may have come from Leverkusen, who did really well with it previously. But now the summer's gone, especially, and we're not just going to be able to buy this player, that player, this player, this player, that player, that player. I feel like you have to just reassess and just say, look, we are a 4-2-3-1 setup, and that's the way to go. Personally, that's how I feel. But I don't. You know me, Russ. I got very specific ideas, so I may be wrong, but I'd like Lopetegui to take a deep breath and just actually assess what's going on at the moment, because he hasn't got it right, and in my opinion, he hasn't got it right since pre-season. So that's my opinion.
All right, then, man. Thank you very much, mate.
Yeah, cheers, sorry. I know I can be overbearing.
No, very good, mate. It's always good. No, you just want to you speak from the heart, mate. And a lot of people are, it's good to hear. And as I said, it's just I mean, there isn't a single West Ham fan out there who wants us to not do well. And so we just all have slightly different opinions and philosophies of why we want to do it. And yeah, I totally agree, mate. Good points. Yeah. Cheers, bud.
All right, cheers, Ross. Nice one.
Cheers,
thanks for having me.
Cheers. Nice, man. Pleasure. There's Damian. Good point. I think he's made some really good points. Really good points, actually. Sullivan always keep a cap on our ability. Well, not just that. I think also, you do have, and I think we assume as fans, you just go by that player. There's a lot of teams over that after the same amount of players, and also you've still got the fucking. You could have a situation where like Newcastle get taken over. Newcastle, the richest club in the world, but you wouldn't know it. And that's always going to be the issue. There's always going to be, but this. Oh, we could have got that. Oh, we could have got this. As I said, I think our new our new motto should be on our badges: if buts and maybes. That seems to what all we say. If we did this, but we didn't do this. If we had done this. We've always, and unfortunately, that because we've as a fan base been bereft of any relative success over the last 40 odd years. As I said, we still talk about a side that finishes third as in great esteem, because we've not had that's our best league position for 30 years. It hasn't been improved since then. As I said, when your war song is about bubbles fading and dying, you've already set yourself on a bit of a losing skill already. We had chances to get either Tony. Did we? We don't know. Again, Barry, everything we read, and I think the trouble is we all read everything and we all think it's true. Were we after Ivan Tony? We may well have been interested. Did we put a bid in for him? I don't know. The only people who knows would be the people who were involved in the recruitment at the time. Same with the Ruben Amorim. Were we really going to get him? I don't think we ever were. I think he is someone we was on a list of about a number of different managers for head coach. But I agree with Damian. Him coming in now, he would have played the 3-4-3. That's what he's used to. But actually, I totally agree. The DNA of the side at the moment and the players we brought in to replace. And I think Chrissy put in the chat, strong. We have a bloody. You look on paper. I know if it was not one on paper, we have a very good squad. Very good squad. that's not performing, that's not playing well. You know, when you look at the teams around us, we've got a far superior squad to the teams around us. We've got Brazilian internationals, we've got German internationals, we've got, most people in our squad are an international caliber player of their mother country. You know, arguably someone like Max Kilman, probably after I'm trying to think of any other decent centre halves who are playing to any particular level for England at the moment. I think Max could even do that. We haven't got a bad squad. We've got a very good squad, but one that's bereft of any confidence. I mean, you can people. Oh, yes, the head coach is ultimately the one who takes responsibility for the results, but the players on the pitch as well. And again, there's mitigating circumstances. But I mean, Alvarez yesterday, that was ridiculous. For a professional player to do that, you had 5 players back. Even if he'd beaten him for pace, which isn't hard because he's not the most quickest player, but don't put yourself in a position where you're going to get outpaced. Forest, we knew, had very quick wingers, very quick transition, big lad up front, big crosses into the box. It's not hard to know how they were going to play, but we didn't play to, we allowed them to play, and as I said, I honestly believe at half time, if we'd gone in 1-0 with 11 players, we would have probably got something out of that game. I thought, but we didn't. And again, if buts, maybes. Couldn't disagree more about wanting that style of play. The board have made a complete mess. We could easily go down with the squad. Don't think so, Chrissy. Matt would have budget wise, but it's not like Sully is the roadblock. We lose the games because of midfield. I mean, that's clear as mud, isn't it? It's that clear as day, rather, that midfield. Poor us. No, I let Damian chat. He knows what he's talking. That's what we try and do. You can listen to me waffle on, but it's always good to have different opinions on there all the time. Sullivan should spend big on a manager, but never gets always cheap options. Sullivan needs to go. The happy family of board sharing out the pie all need to go. How's that going to happen? Realistically, how's that going to happen? Someone's going to have to buy them. At the moment, is it set up for someone to go out and buy a club? Not really. And that's not West Ham's fault. That's the Premier League's fault. That's the FA's fault. That's FFP. It's PSR. So actually, as a side like Newcastle, people wanted Ashley out for years. Ashley goes. They think all their riches are coming at once. They can't. They're gonna, to make a significant investment in the squad. They're gonna have to probably in the summer send Isaac or Bruno Gomes to have enough money in the bank to allow them to then go and buy players. No one can have a go. I'm not having this Sullivan Stardom praise. I don't think. I think on paper it's been good. I think it has. You look at the players that have been brought in. There's no doubt he's upgraded. Zuma's been upgraded with Todibo, a younger model. I think Kilman's been upgraded to Aged. And I think Wan-Bissaka's an upgrade from Sufal. Our board are really clever at making fans believe we have spent on top players. We should never have let Jay do a pit or Potts. Potts needed to go to get some game time. That's going to benefit us next season. Definitely. West Ham can play a 4-3-1-2 with the players they're born. He's known to play, it just doesn't fit and has never done. You're right. There we go. Our squad is weaker than last year. I don't think it is. If we look at man for man, the squad now, because the squad last year, body-wise, in terms of numbers, maybe 1 or 2 less, but I think the quality is better. Much better. And it needed a big rehaul. And it's still, as I said, in the summer, we've got 5 players out of contract, 5 first teams: Fabianski, Kress, Sufal, Ings, and Antonio. And they all need to be replaced. So there's another rebuild job really in the summer. And I think that could have put some managers off and head coaches off that, because they know, what that transitional time, because it means that new players come in, they got to get settled. When do we bring those players in? A lot of our recruitment was done late in the day. And again, that wasn't, and to me, that's not an issue. That's clubs not wanting to sell their players, or the player not wanting to go just yet. And again, I think a reason for that was not being in Europe. I think if we'd been in Europe this season, we'd have got Todibo over the deal much earlier, and then him and Kiln could have had a proper pre-season together, but they didn't. And now we're seeing the aftermath of that. So that partnership will get better if we had got the right manager and paid for a decent one. That's the difference having a great season, keeping our top players or not. But again, are we right? But even if we did, and again, this is just me playing devil's advocate, playing the yin to the yang. The right manager's only the right manager if we'd have won the games and we'd be in a higher position. We could have gone and got a Potter, or we could have gone and got someone else. There's no guarantee that that's going to work. Everything in football is risk. Every player you buy, every sub you take, there's no guarantee that by putting this player on and taking that player off, you're going to win the game. You could lose the game, or everything is a calculated risk in football. And maybe that was one that Paul decided was too much of a risk, considering you needed someone who's going to be coaching a new squad. 9 new players coming in. Sullivan obviously wants to do well. That's how clubs, and that's the thing. And as I said, the club budget I'm pretty sure Sean said this once. The club budget on finishing 11th in the league, so everything falls with that. So if we have a good season, we'll finish above budget. If we have a poor season, we'll finish below budget, and that will be next season we'll probably spend less. So actually, the incentive is to do better than budget, because then you can spend more money next year. It's the same as every other business, and football is a business. So Sullivan's not going to go and spend £500 million on another summer transfer window. Firstly, because he probably can't under PSR rules, but B is the risk of doing that. It's his money. It's Daniel Krajinski. It's their money. Do you know what I mean? Their show. They don't get into football to, very few people get into football for the love of the game. They get into football because it's a business. Danny Krajinski, he buys 5% of this one, 5% of that, but that's what he does. He looks for investment opportunities. That's the point. There's always loads of rumours. UD shows us, and it turns out we don't exactly. Totally agree. But what I always say is, Barry's, these are rumours. I'm not saying we're buying these players, but what we do is we give you the rumours. We give you our views. We give you our opinions. We give you our ratings. And then you decide. That's what we do. I know it sounds a little bit hypocritical, but that's the idea. You don't have to do that, because that's the idea of what we do. We do, as I said, we were linked to 167 players in the summer. Now, anyone with half a brain would assume that we haven't been linked. We haven't put bids in for 167 players. As I said, maybe 10%. 10% is 16, 17 players. We got 9 in. Sounds about right to me. We've gone backwards with Loppy. Bobby and Bubble say Sacklops. We don't get the best. We get the rest, mostly the broken pile. I think it's in relation to. I think we do, Chrissy. I think we have a much better squad than we did last year. I genuinely believe we do. Whether that's comparable to others, but I think we have a much better squad, a younger squad than we did. People like Zuma had gone, and he's brought in someone. Zuma's gone. He brought in someone like Todibo, who's about 5 years younger than him. In terms of Wan-Bissaka, an upgrade, 4 years younger than Soufal. Kilman's about the same age as Aguerd, but more suited to the Premier League. So, in that respect, Chris, are you saying Zuma, Aguerd, and Soufal are better players now, not then, now, than Wan-Bissaka, Todibo, and Kilman? That's what I'd love to know. I think Tim's lots to ask for, because what he brought in. I'm not betting they're players we let go. Soler and Rodriguez are not better than Ward-Prowse. maybe. Lobby has to go. The board have come out and said they're still 100% back him. They always feel keep him, and he'll be in a relegation battle. People calling for Ten Hag to take over. He's 4 years younger. I think they'll need to hire someone a lot younger. Good individuals, but they do not complement a team to make a good team. That's the manager makes it to work, as I said. Even when it was big time transfer success under Lopetegui, and to be honest, transfer window you can only really judge it in a year's time at the end of the summer. Where we finish in the league. If we've improved our position in the following season, then that window's been a success, surely. Under Lopetegui, the team has regressed. I feel like his goose is already cooked. I think we lost the game because of the sending off. Losing midfield, yet you say we have a stronger squad. I think across the board we do. I disagree with you regarding the squad. We have no pacey strikers. We didn't have any pacey strikers last year either. How long would you give? I said 10 games. Nothing's changed. Game 1, in my opinion, needs to go. You just said we had a strong God out midfielders walked through, mates. Well, compared to last year, I think the squad has improved. The squad has improved, Chrissy. This is the midfield. The squad has improved. And where previously you bring on, players of the, it'd be like, what are they going to do? You've got people off the bench now. You've got the likes of Guilherme on the bench. You've got the likes of Somerville on the bench. Or if not Somerville, then you've got Soler on the bench. You've got Andy Irvine on the bench. You've got some good players to bring off the bench. I don't think we always had that. We don't play on paper. We certainly do. Football is not one on paper, as Brian Clough said. Also, like someone said, our midfield is slow. Does have a right to have a say his money. Indeed, some players isn't a good squad. Can't head a ball. I think, Chrissy, I think Kilman's been the pick of the bunch. Best player we've had all season. Consistently been solid all season. Red card the making, and Rodriguez's pony. Do you have a script when they're used properly? Exactly. We've got some good players on our side. Used to score loads, Guilherme, but don't play. Guilherme's on for the future, we've always said. Kilman isn't any better than Mavropanos. Chrissy, come on. Tim Steiner is always judged on paper. He's getting fitness criteria. It's always down to the coach to put the best out of the squad. Buck stops the coaching. Tim is doing amazing. Our strong is squander, however, tactics and weaker. I can't trust Sloppy to integrate, such as Potts. Although, as I said, Edward, Tim Steiner was at the game on Friday, and the 21 game, and obviously you would have watched it because you all know exactly about who to play in the youth team football. So obviously everyone's watched the under 21s, and we're all there on Friday. I'd imagine watching the game as well, or watching it on YouTube. There is some good players coming through. There's a lot on loan, and that's the best place for them at the moment. Because I'd rather George Earthy plays for Bristol City. Patrick Kelly, obviously, who has scored the winner from yesterday. I'd rather have him play 90 minutes each week, and Callum Marshall then play 5 minutes one week and back in the under 21s for next week. Doesn't help him. Should have been here in February, March. Yeah, I agree. Definitely weaker in the midfield and positions. I do not agree with you. I believe the squad is average and Kudus will be off. Yeah, I think Kudus was off regardless, I think. What we got here, Kilman is a good defender. Mav needs to be dropped. But Chrissy thinks that Mavropanos is better than Kilman, so it's a different opinion there. Rodriguez, Soler, Fornals, JP. Fornals, I agree with you. JP, he's not playing for Forest. Gone out on loan, went to Forest, played a couple of games, has been dropped from them. They're not playing him. Spent 23 on Guilherme for the future. 27. What waste of money? Could have had decent coaching. Duran. Oh, Steve, I think what I'm going to do is ban people for saying the word Duran and more Amarin now, because it's just crazy. A lot of people are looking at the prices we pay for new players. Doesn't mean they're better players. Yeah, I agree. I don't think it means your fault, Rush. Just saying we don't get good players to go elsewhere. They do, and I think the fact is we haven't got Europe to offer them. It's walking all over Villa. But Amarin is the Messiah, isn't it? So I mean, the narrative people, and as I was saying on our WhatsApp group, the narrative people choose to bring in whatever narrative they want to, and then we disregard it for something else because that doesn't fit their narrative. And that's what frustrates me. It's like someone made a really good point. We all get a lot of our chests. And to be fair, I'm not seeing anyone defending Lopetegui. Yeah, it's toxic already, and we're united across the fan base, it seems. And that's the thing. We are West Ham fans. We are all allowed to have different opinions, but it's how we voice those opinions. And as I said, if it gets nasty, and I see people being nasty to each other in here, you're off, because that's not what it's about. This is, as I said, getting things off our chest and being respectful of each other's opinions. Right, I'm going to have to go in a minute because the Grand Prix already started. Brazilian Grand Prix will be mental this year. Every lack of pace, everyone out of place, I'll be flopping you. Very good. I believe Tim was recruiting for a different manager and ended up with Loppy. Quite possibly, Michael. Quite possibly. One thing I'm sick of as a West Ham, amount of goals. Yeah, and again, we're still bringing him in. Tezet, I mean, if you, anyone, I mean, Hammer, I mean, again, yeah, people sort of, if you delve into Edin's time at Borussia Dortmund, talk to some Dortmund fans, didn't rate his time at all. Didn't really rate, and again, very similar to Moyes, he was almost probably kept on longer than he should have been because of the European, because they got to the Champions League final. I don't think Tezet is the answer either, unless you're gonna come in and play a certain way. We've got here after May. It's time for Lewis Orford to come into the squad. No, he's not Declan Rice. Lewis Orford is not Declan Rice. Lewis Orford is Michael Carrick, not Declan Rice. Haven't I sent it to you? I thought I've sent a load out, Michael. If not, I apologise. Drop me an email and I'll go and I'll make sure I do it. Right, guys, I'm going to have to go because the Grand Prix already started, and I want to watch it because it's going to be an absolute nutter. As I said, if you like what we do, thanks for joining us. Hope you got something off your chest. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow and for the Academy show and all that type of stuff. Bash the like. Much love. See you soon, peeps. Bye-bye.